Welcome back, baby, to Dark MAGA, where things get spicy, things get weird, things get a little bit crazy, and we don't know where things are going to go. That's the best part about doing Dark MAGA. It's the evening, people are off of work, or they're getting off of work, they're acting crazy, maybe a coworker pissed them off, and they need to let off a little bit of steam. This is the podcast to do it, folks. It's good to see all of you in the chat. I apologize for the hiccup in the morning about the other sound, but that's what happens when it's 6 a.m. I mean, what are you going to do? But we got it fixed. And that episode popped off, by the way. I don't know if you saw that episode over at Rumble alone. Let me check the numbers really quick on that episode. I don't know if you guys saw that episode has over 34,000 views over at Rumble, the one from this morning. So 34,000 views over at Rumble alone. So clearly we were doing something right this morning, that people enjoy our content. That's always lovely. So thank you to everybody that made it possible by hitting that thumbs up button, donating, and doing all of that shenanigans. So that's awesome to see. We got the Dark MAGA hat on. We got the headphones on. This piece, well, it doesn't really do much. But other than that, we're going to give you some live updates here, and then we're going to jump into the White House press briefing that was today to kind of see what's the agenda, what's going on, and what are people talking about. So, Dark MAGA podcast. So let's go live on TikTok as well. Let's make sure things get a little bit spicy. People always get spooked, folks, when they see the hat. When people see the hat, they get really spooked out. They get freaked out. They go, "What is that? What is that? I'm used to the red hat. What's that black one all about?" So it is Juneteenth, and that's why we are wearing the black hat. That is a joke, by the way. So let's see. The big news of the day here, this was about an hour ago, so this is still pretty much breaking, is Donald Trump to decide on Iran strike before July 4th, before Independence Day. Now, that would be probably the day to protest No Kings, right? I think July 4th, if we were all to see what's going on, I think it would be Juneteenth would be the day to probably protest No Kings. That one actually makes sense to me, but not to the left. The left is, they're still crazy. They're still loony. President Donald Trump relayed a message on the Middle East conflict through the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt on Thursday, saying that he would decide whether to strike Iran within the next week, 2 weeks rather. Trump has backed Israel's airstrike on Iran that have taken out some of the radical Islamic regime's nuclear facilities and military leaders. I heard there was another strike most recently, and well, those people are all gone. While urging the Ayatollah to come to the negotiating table, the president has not ruled out direct U.S. military action against Iran, and even said that the United States knows exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding, which is very worrisome if you're the supreme leader. And it don't matter where you go. See, that's the thing. I was seeing some military planes leave Iran, like government official planes leave Iran and go to Oman, because they think that's what's going to make them safe. It's not. It doesn't matter where you are. We will find you. So I just think people forget, man, how great the United States military is. It doesn't matter where you go. We will find you. Look what happened to Osama bin Laden. It may have took us a while, but we did it. Leavitt addressed the speculations around the president's thinking on the conflict, reading a statement from Trump in the White House press briefing, that's exactly what we're going to watch right now, is the White House press briefing. So again, thank you to everybody joining me. Appreciate you. But we will find you. It's like that scene from, oh God, what's his name? Where he goes, "I will find you. I don't care where you are or what I have to do, but I will find you." What, God, oh, Liam Neeson. That's his name. He goes, "I hold a very special set of skills. These skills that nobody else has other than me. And I will find you and I will kill you." Like, yes. All righty. Well, here we go. Let's see what she has to say.
Good afternoon, everyone. President Trump's powerful efforts to secure our homeland are working. According to newly released numbers, last month, Border Patrol saw a 93% decrease of illegal aliens crossing the southwest border between ports of entry from May 2024 under Joe Biden.
Pause, please. Thank you. Wow, we covered these numbers. Now, again, my question is for all the lefties in the chat, why could you have not done this? I mean, it's not even close. You will never see something like this in your lifetime again. Zero. This just shows you the difference in governing from how Democrats govern, which they don't, right? Govern is actually managing. Governing is actually doing your job, executing the laws in the books. Talk about not doing your job compared to doing your job. That's a big difference.
When they encountered more than 117,000 illegal aliens. And this particular statistic is absolutely astounding.
Yes, it is.
In the month of May, under the Trump administration, 0 illegal aliens were released into our country by Border Patrol. Let me say that again. Not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States of America last month under this administration. Let's contrast that to Joe Biden's failed leadership, where immigration officers were wasting their finite time and resources processing dangerous illegal aliens for release into the United States. President Trump immediately terminated that reckless Biden-era practice that undermined the rule of law, jeopardized public safety and our national security, and diverted critical resources away from stopping deadly drugs and violent criminals from entering our country. That's the reason why not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States in the month of May. And as a result, we now have a border that is reaching unprecedented levels of operational success. The efforts by President Trump to stop the illegal immigrant invasion and secure the border in this short amount of time represent one of the greatest achievements by a presidential administration in the history of our great country. With illegal entries being overwhelmingly halted, the Trump administration is dramatically ramping up efforts to arrest and deport all of the millions of criminal illegal aliens that Joe Biden let into our country over the past 4 years. President Trump has directed all of our ICE officers to do everything in their power to carry out the single largest mass deportation operation in history. Illegal criminals who are hiding in America's largest so-called sanctuary cities will be increasingly targeted for removal. Radical Democrats will no longer be allowed to shelter illegals who threaten public safety as part of their cynical efforts to expand political power, drain the American taxpayer,
That's right,
and artificially lower wages and steal American jobs. ICE officers are...
All right, hold on. Everybody time out here. We have to read it. We got to do a little peeky under the hood here. Our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation operation of illegal aliens in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered by notice of this truth to do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. In order to achieve this, we must expand our efforts to detain and deport illegal aliens in America's largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, where millions upon millions of illegal aliens reside. These and other such cities are the core of the Democrat power center, where they use illegal aliens to expand their voter base, cheat in elections, and grow their welfare state. 100% true. Robbing good paying jobs and benefits from hardworking American citizens. Correct. These radical left Democrats are sick of mind, hate our country, and actually want to destroy our inner cities. And they're doing a good job of it. There is something wrong with them. That is why they believe in open borders, transgender for everybody, and men playing in women's sports. And that is why I want ICE, Border Patrol, and the great and patriotic law enforcement officers to focus on our crime-ridden and deadly inner cities and those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. You don't hear about sanctuary cities in our heartland. I want our brave ICE officers to know that real Americans are cheering you on every day. The American people want our cities, schools, and communities to be safe and free from illegal crime, conflict, and chaos. That's why I've directed my entire administration to put every resource possible behind this effort and reverse the tide of mass destruction, migration that has turned once idyllic towns into scenes of third world dystopia. Our federal government will continue to focus on the reimmigration of aliens to the places from where they came from and preventing the admission of anyone who undermines domestic tranquility of the United States. I mean, what a nice guy, man. He's sending him back home. Just a good guy. Man, I mean, he could have sent them to jail. I mean, he could have done that. But no, he's sending them home. I mean, what a gentleman. What a scholar. Wow.
Courageous heroes upholding the rule of law and keeping our citizens safe. And they have the full and unwavering support of this president. In economic news, President Trump's pro-growth agenda is delivering for the American worker. Through the first 5 months of the Trump administration, real blue-collar wages are up nearly 2%. It's the strongest growth in nearly 60 years and a stark contrast from the negative wage growth seen during the first 5 months of the Biden administration. America is quickly returning to the successful formula of the first Trump administration: low inflation and rising wages. Once the big, beautiful bill is passed, this positive trend will only accelerate. Senate Republicans are continuing to push this critical legislation forward. The One Big Beautiful Bill will drive growth and supercharge the American economy. The Council of Economic Advisors found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will raise take-home pay by nearly $14,000 for a year for the average family of 4. The CEA also found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will increase wages as much as $11,000 for the average worker in America. The One Big Beautiful Bill expands the child tax credit and makes it permanent for more than 40 million families with children. And the bill will deliver no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and substantial tax cuts for our incredible seniors. Simply put, the One Big Beautiful Bill is a massive win for middle-class Americans. When nearly 80 million Americans sent President Trump back to this White House, they were doing so expecting these popular policies to be enacted. Republicans in Congress have a mandate to deliver, and President Trump demands they send this historic bill to his desk for signature by Independence Day, July 4th. The American people are fully behind President Trump. According to brand new polling from Insider Advantage, a clear 54% majority of Americans approve of the job President Trump is doing. That's because this president is keeping his promises and taking action every day to improve their lives. And passing this bill will help fulfill a number of President Trump's core campaign promises. Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So we'll kick it off for questions here in our new media
Here we
seat.
go.
We have Eli Lake from the Free Press. Eli, go ahead. And
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
The Free Press. The decision to extend the, delay in enforcing the TikTok ban.
Sure.
Can you talk about how the White House understands its constitutional authority in light of the Supreme Court's decision in January that said that the president had to enforce the ban?
Sure. Well, as all of you know, because the president put it out on his Truth Social today, he did sign an executive order to extend the TikTok ban for 90 days. So in the effort to make a deal. And the White House counsel and the Department of Justice have reviewed this executive order, and I can get it for you. I think it's on our website by now. If it's not, my team will now put it up immediately. And you can read the language in that executive order. And the White House counsel's office and the Department of Justice strongly believe in the legal rationale for this executive order. They wouldn't have the president's pen hit it if they didn't. And the political reasoning for this, of course, is because the president made a promise to keep TikTok on. There are 100 million Americans who use this app. It's wildly popular. He also wants to protect Americans' data and privacy concerns on this app, and he believes we can do both things at the same time. So he's making an extension so we can get this deal done.
Can I get a follow-up?
Sure.
A few weeks ago, Tucker Carlson reported on a meeting between the president, Mark Levin, and others at the White House. Is there a leak investigation, and can you say who else was in that meeting?
I'm not aware of a leak investigation at this time. I, for one, do not reveal details about the president's private meetings without his permission to do so. But certainly the president does not like when people leak. He takes that very seriously. This entire administration takes that seriously, and that's why you've seen at agencies some of the cabinet secretaries have been given the authority by the president to let go of staff who are engaged in such leaks, especially those that risk American national security. Sure. Go ahead.
Caroline, thank you. So Rhino warmonger Lindsey Graham, he recently called on the U.S. to go all in.
That's quite the lead to a question.
Right. What's your message to everyday Trump supporters? Not the Tucker Carlsons or other big names, but everyday Trump supporters, grassroots who voted for President Trump to stop the wars, rejected this in the primary, going into another war with voting against Nikki Haley, and they want to see non-U.S. involvement in this war? What's your message?
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has
Trust
incredible
in
instincts,
Trump.
and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said, America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists. In 2015, the president said the problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States. And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
A follow-up?
Sure. Go ahead, Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Can you confirm whether Steve Witkoff has been in touch with the Iranian foreign minister? And does Witkoff plan to go to Geneva tomorrow for talks?
I am not tracking that on Mr. Witkoff's travel schedule, but I can certainly check in with him to be sure. As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Thanks, Kelly. Just to clarify the president's statement just now, when he says that he'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks, is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
And is he seeing any signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
What makes him think there's still a substantial chance, is my question.
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale the president believes that, but that's his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Caroline.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of like, we expect like a 2-week deadline and then you give another 2-week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia, Ukraine, might I add, these are 2 very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration's just complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again. With respect to Russia and Ukraine, because of that American strength and the president's leadership, we have seen these 2 sides engage in direct negotiations. And the last time the president said 2 weeks, you saw Russia and Ukraine have direct negotiations for the first time in years. And so the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution to the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add. Francesca.
Thanks, Caroline. What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not, Iran is not absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms. And that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
To follow up on what you told Natalie, are the talks that the United States is currently having with Iran direct, or are those through intermediaries? And if so, which countries are acting as the intermediary right now?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions and negotiations, I am not going to get into the details of them. We've provided you confirmation for now. Go ahead. Sure, and then behind you too.
Sorry, thanks. Sorry. On the topic of negotiations and talks, does the president have any hopes or specific expectations for the talks tomorrow between European foreign secretaries and their Iranian counterpart?
Well, certainly the entire world is on the president's side when it comes to the fact that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. This is something that pretty much all of humanity, except for the Iranian terrorist regime themselves, agree upon. And so the president expects that Europe will deliver that message directly to the Iranians.
Why does President Trump believe that this 90-day extension on TikTok will provide more runway, perhaps, than the previous extensions that haven't led to a divestment?
Not a bad question.
Because it's more time to make a good deal. Simple question. Dasha?
Thank you so much. I know things are going day by day. Right now, the president wants maximum optionality. Is the possibility of the U.S. getting involved in regime change in Iran at all on the table at this point? And then I want to
Sure. The president's top priority right now is ensuring that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon
and
providing peace and stability in the Middle East.
Very good answer.
On Medicaid, Caroline, the Senate put forward Medicaid provisions, particularly a lower cap on state provider taxes that hospitals have said would lead to mass closures, particularly in rural communities. Is the president willing to sign a bill that includes those provisions that Republican senators like Josh Hawley say will lead to hospital closures?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions that the White House is very much actively involved in with our friends in the United States Senate, I won't comment on that specific provision. Look, the bill hasn't been sent to the president's desk yet. There's more room for change. The president, for one, I will reiterate, has been very clear on his priorities with respect to Medicaid. He wants to see waste, fraud, and abuse ridden from the system to protect it for tax-paying citizens who deserve those much-needed benefits. He wants to prioritize the sick, the needy, the poor in this country who deserve those benefits, not the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are receiving them. And he wants to make sure this one big beautiful bill kicks those illegal aliens off of this program to preserve it and protect it and strengthen it for the American people. And the president has been very clear in that message to his friends in the Senate. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
Logistically, if the Iranians are getting to Geneva, does that mean they've found a way to get to the White House?
I am not going to get into hypotheticals, but as you heard from the president yesterday, they have expressed interest in doing so.
There's a lot of pressure on the president to come to the aid of Israel. There's a lot of pressure on him to finish the job with force. How is he balancing the concern that if he doesn't choose to do that, that it would send a message to Xi Jinping about the U.S. commitment to Taiwan?
Well, the president enjoys a very respectful and cordial relationship with China's president. He has long maintained that, even in his first term. And China and the United States share many strategic interests, both in terms of economics and also, of course, global affairs and foreign policy as well. However, when it comes to balancing these different viewpoints, the president is balancing a lot of viewpoints, and he is listening not just to other world leaders, but to his advisors and to people here in the country and the American people too. And I think that's what makes this president such a great leader, is his ability to listen and make a good decision on behalf of the American public based on his instincts and his experience. Don't forget, this is a president who was here before, and the world was a much more peaceful and stable place when he left office than when he came back in after the past 4 years of complete incompetence by the previous president. Philip, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Two quick questions.
Ooh,
when
Phil.
the president said,
all right, this is the Gladiator, Philip Wegman, who we love here on the show. Phil's one of the top 3 reporters in that room. You just heard from the other top 3. What I mean by that is you heard from Jackie Heinrich. The only person that's not in today's briefing is Peter Doocy, the Gladiator. It goes Peter Doocy, Philip Wegman, Jackie Heinrich. That's our hierarchy of the top 3 in that room. We're getting 2 of the 3. I'll take it all day.
As Iran is very close to a nuclear weapon, is he relying on U.S. intelligence or intelligence sharing from an ally to make that assessment?
It is a fact, and the United States government maintains this fact, that Iran has never been closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon.
And then if the U.S. were to take some type of military action, would the president go to Congress to seek war authority?
I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals. I gave you the statement from the president. He'll make a decision within 2 weeks.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
Mary and then Elizabeth.
2 questions, one on Iran and then the second on something Jasmine Crockett said this morning. So given that we know the Iranian government did order an operative to assassinate the president, is there concern that Iran might...
Okay, so just to backtrack a little bit. One, Jackie's looking like a fox, as always. She's with Fox News. You just heard from Willip Wegman of Real Clear Politics. And now this is Margaret from the Daily Wire.
Respond with non-traditional military ways to some kind of strike on Iran, such as another assassination attempt? And has the Department of Justice looked into this last attempt on the president's life?
I believe Secret Service and the FBI have looked into the 2 assassination attempts that took place against the president, both of which were sad days in our nation's history. So I would defer you to the Department of Justice on where those investigations stand. But as for your question regarding Iranian retaliation, I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals again, but I can assure the American public and the world that this administration is prepared and ready to defend American interests and assets, not just in the region, but here on our homeland as well.
Thank you. And then really quick on Jasmine Crockett, she said, I believe, that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should...
Just want to pause. Is there an echo here? Are you guys hearing an echo? People over at TikTok are saying that they're getting an echo, specifically Jeff. Is anybody else getting an echo as well? I'm not hearing an echo, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. It's when you talk. Okay, so you're hearing an echo when I talk. Let me see something really quick. Let me really quick. Might as well figure this out now if we can. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not hearing an echo. I mean, it could be the room I'm in. The room I'm in is could lead to an echo, but I'm not exactly sure. Test. It's the room. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to figure that out for the future then.
Go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself. Oh. Jennifer.
One on North Korea and one on China. Sure. On North Korea, they launched some rockets into the ocean today. What does the White House make of that? Do you read any meaning into that timing of that launch? And then on China, do you have any reaction to Xi Jinping's offer of intervening in Iran diplomatically? And are you seeing any signs that China would get involved militarily to support Iran?
I don't believe we're seeing any signs of that at this moment in time. As for Xi Jinping's offer, I will leave it to the president to respond to that himself. As for your question about North Korea, we are monitoring the situation. The Trump administration is in close contact with our new South Korean counterparts as we work together to deter our adversaries and preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific. And no matter where, our adversaries and our allies alike know that President Trump will not tolerate threats against our interests on his watch, even as he works to resolve the wars that he inherited. Alex, go ahead, and then I'll come to you.
Thank you.
This is just going to be a test for the echo to see what's going on with TikTok really quick. I want to hear what it sounds like. All right, I got it. Thank you.
Is the president concerned about the economy if farms and hotels, et cetera, struggle to find workers?
The president's always concerned about the economy. That's on his mind every day. He wakes up, he checks the markets, he checks wage growth. As I pointed out, it's a record high today for middle class and American workers. So the president's always wanting to ensure that we have a strong and robust economy for the American people and worker, and we do. As for the specific concerns regarding jobs, look, the president has made it very clear we need to remove public safety threats from the interior of our country, and that remains the focus and the priority of this administration when it comes to deportations, no matter where somebody works. If they're an illegal alien rapist or murderer that was allowed into this country in the past 4 years by this administration, the American people want those types of criminals to be deported from our country, and that's what the president is backing ICE to do.
Thanks. There was an apparent skirmish between the Chinese and the Philippines in the South China Sea. Just curious if you had any reaction to that, and if the steps you're taking towards the Middle East right now are reducing your capacity to deal with that situation.
I believe that
So I think we fixed the issue over at TikTok. Hopefully it sounds different now. There we go. We did. Perfect. Boom. That's how it's done, baby. We just fixing stuff out here all by ourselves, aren't we? Aren't we? Just getting the work done. That's how it's done, bizacas. That is called trial and error, folks. I deserve a gummy. If you haven't had these gummies before, they're my favorite. These are so good. Yes. Yeah, it's gone. You guys are like, thank you, God, Brad. Oh, God, thank you. I can hear him now. I'm just not looking at his beautiful face anymore, but I can hear his voice of an angel.
Happened as I was preparing and coming out here, so we'll get you a response to that. Certainly we have one, and our teams are always monitoring situations all around the globe.
Okay, and then one more just on Iran. Just over the past 24 hours, we've seen some Israeli strikes on Natanz, Isfahan, and Kondab nuclear facilities. Is there any assessment just of how effective or what the result of those strikes will be?
What I can share is that the IDF and Israel, I think, have exceeded a lot of people's expectations in their ability to really hinder Iran's nuclear facilities, but also they've taken out key people in the Iranian regime's leadership as well. So this is something, of course, we are monitoring and watching every day, and the president was just in an intelligence briefing. He continues to be briefed by his National Security Council, and he will throughout the duration of this war and conflict. And he also remains in constant communication with our Israeli counterparts, most notably Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Kristen.
Thank you, John. We have heard from a number of U.S. officials who say that Iran doesn't want to make a deal, that they are just stringing the United States along. What is to say that they are not going to continue to do so if we...
This is CNN, by the way. Okay. This is CNN. Now, it's not Caitlin Collins, so this might actually be a pretty good question here. We'll see.
If we continue to give them extensions, now 2 weeks before 60 days.
Look, Iran is in a very weak and vulnerable position because of the strikes and the attacks from Israel. And with respect to the president's statement, I shared that with all of you. And he has been very direct and clear. Iran can and should make a deal. We sent a deal to them that was practical, that was realistic, or they will face grave consequences.
Why is Steve Witkoff not participating in the talks this week?
I can ask Mr. Witkoff why he is not.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the president object if Israel attempts its own operation against Fordo in the next 2 weeks?
I won't decide that for the president, nor will I share that here. I'll let him speak to that.
Why do people ask such stupid questions? It's really hard for me to believe that these people are that stupid. Not all of them, of course. But why are you going to ask any sort of military operation if it's going to be happening at some point? You know the answer is going to be, we're not going to tell you what we're going to do. I mean, Trump's been saying it since even in his first term. Are you going to go out there and attack Fordo tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.? Is that what you're going to do? Is that what Trump has in mind? What an idiot. I'm so tired of these stupid questions. Act as if you got an education here for once. You know what I mean? Jeez. Is the president going to go to the Situation Room and launch an attack on Iran's people approximately at 1400? Come on. God, dude.
And just another one. Iran is apparently warning Europeans that if struck by the U.S., it may withdraw from the nuclear proliferation treaty. That would result in throwing out inspectors and taking the program dark. What does the president think of the value of having Iran as a full signatory of that treaty?
Well, that's reckless rhetoric, but I understand the Europeans are meeting with the Iranians tomorrow, so we'll see how that meeting goes.
Just one more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today, or maybe comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. Will he plan to mark Juneteenth in any way, either today or with an event later on, maybe next?
Nobody cares. God. Well, it was actually my question, Caroline. Is there any intention of really signing this, codifying this really into law? Oh, God. Because this is what the American people care about. It's so, even she's like, what are you doing, man? Like, this is what the room's filled with?
Next week. Sure. I just answered that question for you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Caroline.
You got to treat them like they're kids, man. These are basically high schoolers in there. They don't have much of an education, folks. I'll tell you what. You can. It's clear as they're journalism majors. Go try to do like some mathematics major, math or engineering or accounting. Those difficult majors. You wrote a paper, okay? You wrote a bunch of papers. You guys, journalism, all it is, and it's wild that you would need a degree for this, by the way. All journalism is you're reporting what you saw. Jesus, I don't know why I'm pointing my ears. What you saw and heard. Jeez, did anybody catch that? Oh my God. Nobody caught what I just did. It's what you're going to see and hear. Oh my God. Oh, and boy, I'm not educated, as you can tell. Yeah, that was my senior moment. Okay, to be fair, like 3 minutes before I came live, I woke up from my nap. That's my excuse. I mean, it makes sense why Joey messed up all the time now, doesn't it? He just woke up from his nap too. So where was I? Okay, what you saw and heard is what you report on. It's not difficult. We do that every day. You guys do that in everyday conversation. All you say is, hey, guess what I saw and heard at work today, to your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. And they go, oh, what'd you see? And then you report on what you saw and heard. That's it. And they may ask, really, like, do you have any thoughts on that? And then that's where you get the opinion pieces in, but that's really it. That's all the news is. You guys, that's all the gospel was in the Bible. They've been doing this for thousands of years. Thousands of years people have been doing this. It's not difficult. It's not hard.
The fact that this president is giving some time and space for diplomacy, another 2 weeks, does it mean that the president is trying his best to avoid a direct conflict with Iran?
I think the president has made it clear he always wants to pursue diplomacy, but believe me, the president is unafraid to use strength if necessary. And Iran and the entire world should know that the United States military is the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world, and we have capabilities that no other country on this planet possesses. Owen.
Caroline, good afternoon. The Supreme Court, as you know, has upheld Tennessee's ban on transgender medical procedures for minors, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, etc. The White House reaction to that, please.
That's a huge victory for America's children, and it's obviously something this administration believes strongly in, that young minor children should not be allowed to be subjected to chemical castration and mutilation. The president himself has taken very strong orders, or has signed very strong executive orders on this, and we are grateful for Tennessee's efforts to protect our children, and we are grateful the Supreme Court ruled on the side of the law, but also on the side of protecting America's innocent children. Elizabeth, go ahead. Sorry, I skipped you earlier.
Okay, thank you so much. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced new vetting procedures on student visas. Will this serve as a model for vetting other foreign visas?
For all foreign visas, yes. As you know, the president signed an executive order, I think it was one of the first he signed in the first week, to strengthen our vetting requirements and our vetting system here in the United States for all visas. He directed the Secretary of State to do that. There was a pause in some of that vetting, as you all know, recently, especially with respect to students from some certain countries. But the vetting has continued, and it's stronger than ever before. As for specifics on how the vetting process has changed, I would defer you to the Department of State. As you know, they're in charge of things like that.
Thank you. To what extent is this 2-week delay with Iran the result of interventions by the likes of Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or the entreaties of European leaders who want a de-escalation?
Look, the president hears all voices across the country, and he makes decisions based on his instincts. And he has always said diplomacy is his first option.
And is he still planning to attend the NATO summit next week?
He is, yes. We will be departing from Washington on Monday morning, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. Kayla.
Thanks, Caroline. Oil prices have been spiking over the last week. Is the president watching the oil market, and is that factoring into his decision-making in the Middle East?
Again, as I said to, I think, Alex's question previously, the president is always watching, and this administration is doing more than any in history to bring oil prices and gas prices here at home down for the American public. They have been plummeting since President Trump's inauguration because of the executive action and the federal action this administration has taken on the home front. But yes, of course, he's paying attention and monitoring that. But as for whether it's weighing into his decision, there's a number of factors that, of course, are. And as I said, he will make that decision in the next 2 weeks. Can't reiterate that enough. Ouija.
Caroline, thank you. With regard to a potential deal, Iran has said it will not negotiate under duress. Does the president believe there should be a ceasefire in these next 2 weeks as the U.S. tries to broker a deal?
That's not what he said in the statement he dictated to me, so I won't get ahead of the president or add anything additional to the statement that he gave me the liberty to share with all of you.
And then just to follow up on how close Iran is to a nuclear weapon, can you clarify when the president said a few weeks away, did he mean obtaining enough enriched uranium to start building a weapon, or did he mean Iran is a few weeks away from completing the production of a weapon?
I'm glad you asked that, Ouija. It's an important question, and it's one, frankly, the media has been getting wrong. Let's be very clear. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the supreme leader to do that, and it would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, which would, of course, pose an existential threat not just to Israel, but to the United States and to the entire world. And that is something that the entire world, including countries like Russia, is in agreement with, that Iran should not and cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. And that's why the president believes that, and he's believed that, again, not just his political career, but frankly, his entire life.
So it
Michael.
sounds like it's the former, just to be clear.
Correct.
They have the components. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Michael.
Caroline, as we look forward to the NATO summit next week, Spain right now is threatening not to oblige the president's request for all NATO countries to spend at least 5% of their GDP. Does the president take issue with this, with Spain right now?
I didn't see Spain's comments. I'll make sure the president sees them, and I can assure you he wants to see.
And Spain is small. Spain said something. Welcome to the table, Spain. It's about time you raised your hand. Spain's like that weird kid that sits in the back of the classroom that doesn't say anything and you don't know what to really make of the kid. And then when they say something, you're like, who are you? It's me. I've been here all year. Spain. She's like caught off guard. Spain said something. Who's Spain? Oh. You have something to say? Okay, here we go. Jesus.
All European countries pay their fair share and meet that 5% threshold. It's only fair considering the American taxpayers have given a significant chunk of money to the tune of billions of dollars to support our mutual interests and our assured defense. So I will let him speak to that, but he's made his priorities for our European allies quite clear, including Spain.
Thank you, Caroline. One last question. When it comes to the president's position on foreign policy in general, is there a phrase that the White House has coined? Is there a Trump doctrine? Does the president like to talk about this? Anyone here in the White House talking about this? And if so, if there is something akin to a Trump doctrine, how would you define it?
America first, always. And with that, I think I'll leave you. I know there's a lot of news in the world right now. As you know, our team is always here to answer your questions. And the president, I am sure, will take more questions from you guys at some point this week, as he always does in the effort of transparency. I appreciate your being here on a federal holiday, and we'll see you later. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline.
Oh, I love it. America first. Do you have a slogan or anything you would like to say? Yeah, America first. How about that? How about them apples? Oh, my goodness. So this was breaking right before we went live. Might as well show this as well. We're kind of deviating away from the White House press briefing. Let's go over a little bit of news here, folks. Let's get a little spicy in the chat. Let's get a little crazy, a little wowzer sauce. Gavin Newsom attended swanky wine tasting in Napa Valley while rioters set fire to Los Angeles and assaulted law enforcement. Where's the news? This is a guy. I mean, if it truly is Gavin, right? I mean, it might be, right? He probably sniffed Joe Biden's. We'll keep it there. I mean, it's spicy, but I think you can use your imagination what he sniffed with Joey to get these aviators. He took these aviators off Joey's carcass is what he did. Those aren't his. Those are Joe Biden's. So if this truly is Gavin, this is a guy that went eating at the French Laundry while everybody else was locked up. This guy doesn't, he's like the biggest hypocrite you've ever met. Oh, yeah. What do you mean? That's just a bonfire. That's not a vehicle on fire. Guys, everybody showed up. There was a thing online that said, hey, we can all make s'mores together. This isn't a riot. Are you kidding me? This is peaceful. There's a guy right in front of this massive flame that's back is on fire. He's just like, okay, we're out here with Channel 7 News. It's mostly peaceful, Bert, but I gotta tell you, it's hotter than Africa out here. It's hotter than a witch's tit in a brass bra, Bert. It's bad, but it's mostly peaceful. Hey, Bill, what is that thing ablaze behind you? Don't worry about it, but it's a little hot in here. Can we wrap this, please? Holy crap, it's peaceful. Yeah, sure. We've seen this tune before. We've listened to this song many of times. Oh, boy. Well, this is also news that happened today. I wasn't sure if this is true or not, but I did see this. Dodgers deny federal agents entry to stadium. The Los Angeles Dodgers denied access to federal agents at Dodger Stadium on Thursday, June 19th. The agents initially reported as ICE by the Dodgers and media were clarified by the Department of Homeland Security to be from Customs and Border Protection, present briefly and not for enforcement activities. This incident occurred amidst heightened attention to immigration enforcement in Los Angeles. I mean, if you were to ever find maybe an illegal, I mean, I'm sure there's one out there in the crowd at Dodger Stadium, but you know, you get in trouble for saying things like that nowadays. So here's the video of that happening. This is them leaving. So they got turned around, and you know all the lefties out there, right? The never Trumpers, the suckling at Joe Biden's teat lovers, those people, the hardcore lefties that now that they're home from work, they can actually start wearing their wife's underwear. I'm talking about the men, the Democratic Party men. They wear their wife's underwear and put their hair in pigtails. Those guys, they're just loving this at home. They're salivating. They're like, we got them. Another win for us, boys. Yeah, sure. As you sit in your thong. Okay. He's all putting on his wife's lipstick too while she's out getting the groceries. Yeah, sure, buddy. Sure, bud. Well, another win for democracy. Oh, it's all fun. It's just poking a little bit of fun. Calm down. They get their panties are always tied up in a little bunch, a little wad, dude. It's like, chill out. Take a little. It's poking fun. It's a little bit of humor. Get over yourselves. Not Patriots, of course. Come here, Patriots. Shh. I'm not talking about you guys. I would never treat you like that. Come on. When I'm talking down to somebody, you know who we're talking to. Oh, God. Yeah, a lot of hearts for that one. You're right. Spam the hearts over at TikTok. Let's see if we could trigger a lefty coming in here. Although I made the settings so you have to be a follower to actually be able to write in the chat. You got to love that one. Because they can't come to terms with following me, so then they can't write anything in the chat. They have to go an extra step, which they're not going to do. They have to go an extra step to hit that follow button, you guys. Yeah, they got to follow me first before they can write anything. And since they're already lazy as it is, right? These are the people that just want to siphon from the system. They're not going to, folks, they can't even go and touch grass. They're not going to leave for a moment to follow me or even stay on the page and follow. They're not going to do that extra click. That's too much for them. It's too much to ask. It's crazy. Let's see if there's any updates here at the Iranian hospital, but whoa, there's an image for you. Okay. Hello. Iran conducted a missile attack on a medical center in Israel amidst a recent escalation in regional tensions, which we did cover here. The strike damaged one of the largest hospitals in southern Israel, prompting widespread condemnation as a potential war crime. In response, Israel has indicated it will not stand by, with unconfirmed reports suggesting an Israeli military operation targeting a location in Tehran linked to Iranian leadership. I've heard reports of that. Now, is it true? I'm not exactly sure. But let's go to here. I want to take you somewhere. We'll kind of tune into him just really briefly and see what he has to say. Oh, he's not even on. He probably is eating dinner or something. I was going to take you to a news site, but that's okay. So people are unconfirmed reports that the Khamenei bunker neighborhood was attacked. So a lot of people are saying this. Let's see what this is. Okay, so allegedly, this is said to be the potential location of Khamenei's bunker. That looks like they hit. Is this guy alive? Is there any updates that this guy's, did they take him out? Is that what's happening here? Could you imagine? It's probably not a good thing. Really. 2 hours ago, reports in Iran that the IDF attacked an underground bunker in the neighborhood of central Tehran tonight where Khamenei was reportedly hiding with his family. Could it be? Dude, can you imagine? Jerry's over here, baby. What's going on, Jerry? Sent one. Oh, that's for somebody else. Appreciate you, Jerry. But that's not for us. That was for somebody else. That's what happens when I have too many chats open. I'm reading the chat of somebody else. But we do have a Jerry here, and Jerry's awesome. Jerry drinks 1775 coffee. So that'd be wild. I have not heard any news of that actually being true or not. But let's go to Libs of TikTok. Let's kind of see what she has. Let's get a little spicy here. We gotta be careful though. We're on TikTok. This should be the front page news everywhere. 0 illegals were released into the country by Border Patrol in May. That is true. We always love that one. Here's Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's being ripped a new one. Oh, what is this? Christina Formella, the former teacher at District 99 in Illinois, who was arrested for criminal assault. Looks like she did the hanky-panky with a 15-year-old student, has been charged with an additional 52 charges after new information revealed she allegedly engaged in this kind of activity with, I would imagine, a bunch of others. Wow. Wow. So, that's a thing. That's a thing. This happens a lot. It's really surprising how much this happens, right? It's always women. I mean, there are times that there's guys. Now, here's the thing, man. If you're a young boy and you're age 15, I remember when I was 15, the hormones are wild. And she's not exactly bad looking. The hormones are intense. So the 15-year-old obviously was taken advantage of by an adult, right? Obviously. I mean, this is RAPE is what this is. But what I'm saying is on the guy's side, the boy's side. This is like the creme de la creme of a high school boy hooking up with his teacher. Yeah, his dream. It's his dream. Yeah, see, Pat, see, people that see this in the chat. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. Please understand that. I'm saying as somebody that was a boy myself, like it's past tense, right? Like I went trans. Oh, sorry, guys. Let me show you my bra really quick. But you understand, we were all like, okay, fine. No. Shh. Let's go to the chat. Let's go to the chat. Guys, am I wrong? All the guys in the chat, am I wrong that you as 15 would have killed to hook up with this teacher? I am the light says no, she's not even a guy. Let's go. Come on. Yeah, down, boy, down. Yeah, see, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, she shouldn't have done that, obviously. That's the obvious. Here's the thing. People get all pissy and are like, oh, how could you talk about this? Oh, obviously it was wrong. I'm not saying what she did was right. I'm talking from the perspective of the guy, the boy, the 15-year-old guy that's hormones are jacked through the roof. So that's a thing. What is this guy saying? Democrats in Texas are fighting against a bill that would ban squatters from moving into your house. They want to allow strangers to take over your home. This is such a big issue, especially in California. It makes me wonder, like, I don't even know why people decide nowadays to purchase a property to rent out in the state of California. Because one, it's going to take you forever to make your investment back. And two, they just allow people to squat in your home like for months on end. Here we go.
Senate Bill 38 going to the Texas House. And this bill seeks to keep squatters out of our house. Democrats have fought for 2 hours for the right, I don't even know how to say this, for the right of people that don't belong in your house to stay in your house. In the event that you leave for a month or two and a squatter goes in and takes your house over, Democrats are fighting for the ability of those people to be able to stay in your house. It's the most jacked up thing I've ever heard.
He's not wrong. Isn't it amazing that it's your property, it's your house, and you're evicting somebody? You should be allowed to do that whenever you want. The fact that you have to go through this whole process, the paperwork, give them 30, 60 days to evict them or whatever. And then you get clogged up in the court system. You can't get your money back. It's such a headache, man. It's wild. It's your property. It's not the government's property. It's not that renter's property. I understand there's humane things about it. Most landlords are pretty humane in the sense of when they evict somebody. But if somebody was doing something wrong, I should be able to tell them, hey, you got to pack your stuff and get out by tonight. You got to start moving out now if I wanted to. I'm not saying you should, but it's my house. It's not your property. It's not the government's property. It's my property. So if I tell you to get out of my house that I own, get out of my house. It's amazing how why doesn't this go with a car? Why doesn't this go with the vehicle? Say you're leasing a vehicle, sublease to somebody. It's your vehicle, you own it, and they wanted to use it for the weekend. They wanted to rent it, and they didn't want to listen. They broke the agreement. Are you just supposed to let them drive the car? They rented the car. Let's do this. Let's make it a little bit more simplistic. They rented the car for the weekend. They broke the agreement on the vehicle, whatever agreement that was. They broke the agreement for the vehicle on a Saturday. They get all of Sunday. They're supposed to have it through Sunday. What do you do? Well, I need the car. You can't kick me out of this thing. No. So you evict somebody from the vehicle. What do they get to drive it for another 60 days? Like, how does that work? It's not their property. They're just using it. It's the same idea. It is the same idea. It's just an escalated difference between the two, but it's a rough analogy, but it's a good analogy. People don't like that analogy, but I like it. It makes sense to me. And that's what's most important, is that it works in my head. I always have to figure out Democrats thinking. Why don't they figure out mine right now? I don't know who this is, but what's happening here? Jeez Louise. Oh boy. All right, hold on a second. We're going to zoom in on this, boys.
Yeah, right? Y'all got to sleep in today. Hello, hello. Hello. See, you said good morning too.
Did we watch it already?
Yeah, right?
Was that just one playthrough? You guys let me, is it looping?
Hello, see, you said good morning too.
Couldn't tell. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Settle down in the chat. Settle down. So this is the NBA. All jokes aside, this is the NBA girl that was sticking up for Caitlin Collins the other day. So shout out to her. Shout out to her. All right, let's see what else we have here. Oh boy. Let's break down this piece. This has to be good. Ben Shapiro's piece on Whoopi Goldberg. Oh baby. This is going to be an ass kicking. There's a perspective that is broken out in the room on both the horseshoe theory left and the horseshoe theory right, that America sucks, that America has always sucked, and that there has always been something wrong with the United States, and that wrongness continues today. There's a lot of crossover in these two wings of American politics, but perhaps the most clear exemplar of this philosophy comes in the form of Whoopi Goldberg, who presents a sort of pixelated version of this philosophy, a dumbed down version of this philosophy. Wednesday, ABC View, which we covered here, which has like 100,000 views on my TikTok right now, she decided she was going to sound off about Israel-Iran war. Goldberg, of course, is a believer that Iran is not all that bad, that they can be negotiated with, that there was never anything wrong with Iran, that America has similar problems, and who are we to judge? It's the wildest thinking ever regarding this. Just talking about it just pretzels my brain. The twists and turns. She decided to talk about how being a woman in Iran, which can mean being beaten for not wearing the proper head covering, not being able to work a job that they worked at before the Islamic Revolution in 1979, is the same as being black in America in 2025. The gaslighting and victimhood drives me up a wall. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist, but I will say that it's not a major problem in the United States. I will say that. And people on the left start almost shaking, like they're being like, I'm exorcising the demons out of these people when you bring up this obvious fact that racism is not a major problem in the United States, not even top 5. And then they start convulsing and shaking, right? And their heads start turning. What are you saying? And it's like, yeah, I said it. Get over it. Racism exists. Well, you're not in my shoes. You don't know what it's like. Okay, well, you're not in my shoes and you don't know what it's like either. There you go. There. We can both say stupid things. Look at us. Wow. We can all shout things to the skies. Look at armadillo. That's fun. Whoopi Goldberg, there's another one. Bootlicker is what I've been called. There's another one. Look at us shouting things. This is fun. Let's all act stupid. You ever do that with your kids when they just start doing stupid stuff? So you start doing the exact same stupid stuff, so everyone's just stupid together. You just really want to get stupid? That's an astonishing, stupid claim. It's absurd. Yes, absolutely. Whoopi Goldberg is sitting there on the set of a nationally televised show, being paid millions of dollars after having been once an actress a long time ago, saying that being black in America is akin to being a woman in Iran or a gay person in Iran, where gay people in Iran are hanged from cranes. But it's the same thing. And if you don't believe it's the same thing, you're a racist. And that's your white privilege coming out, or your Asian privilege, or whatever you may be, because everybody's above black people according to black people, or the people of the left saying that about black people. By the way, I don't even think that's true. There's certain demographics within the black community that are out competing everybody else, by the way. Everybody else. But you can't say that because you're racist. You can't point out the obvious and the truth because then you're white supremacist. That's how it works with these people. And at no point will they ever face the facts. It's not relegated to Whoopi Goldberg. Barack Obama did this for a large part of his career as well, suggesting in 2008 that America always had great ideals. We just hadn't lived up to them. There is truth to that, by the way, that these ideals that were enshrined in our documents were something to always be striving towards. This is most famously probably quoted in terms of Vivek Ramaswamy talked a lot about this, about these ideals that we strive for. Probably the most famous one was probably talking about on the Breakfast Club podcast, where he said, look, these ideals are enshrined. We aren't perfect, but the goal is to try to achieve perfection and the pursuit of it. In the same way here is we're all sinners, but we're still supposed to strive to be in the image and likeness of Jesus. We can never be Jesus himself in the sense of everything that he truly embodied because of the sin that is pouring out of us. But that doesn't mean that you don't try to achieve being the perfection of who Jesus was. It's the same thing here. So he's not fully wrong. That was the unifying part. And then after he won, he turned into America kind of sucks, has kind of always sucked. And now it turns out, according to Barack Obama, America sucks even more than usual. He did an interview with the New York Times in which he suggested that we are drifting into something that is consistent with American democracy. It's consistent with autocracies. It's consistent with Hungary under Viktor Orban. Interesting. First of all, we should point out that there are, in fact, elections in Orban's Hungary. But beyond that, Barack Obama complaining about the twisting of the institutions of the United States against democracy is garbage. Barack Obama doesn't really talk about this, considering the fact that he used the federal government to threaten private industry very early on in his administration and used every aspect of his government in order to crack down on political opposition, up to and including the IRS, which is correct. And I always talk about that point. That always pisses the left off, but it's true. Joe Biden did the same thing, by the way. During his tenure, Obama ran down American fairly routinely. He understood that Americans didn't like that very much. In Dreams from My Father, his first book, he wrote, I know I have seen the desperation disorder of the powerless, how it twists the lives of children on the streets of Jakarta or Nairobi in much of the same way as it does the lives of children in Chicago's South Side. How narrow the path is for them between humiliation and untrampled fury, how easily they slipped into violence and despair. I know that the response of the powerful to this disorder, alternating as it does between a dull complacency and when the disorder spills out of its prescribed confines and a steady, unthinking application of force, of longer prison sentences and more sophisticated military hardware, is inadequate to the task. Holy Lord, I can't read. So notice the tacit endorsement of the idea that black people living in the south side of Chicago is the same as the impoverished children living in the streets of Jakarta, Indonesia, or Nairobi. This is an absurd contention, meaning they're always trying to compare and make connections between these two places. There's no connections to be had. Now, to be fair, again, there's always connections to be had. Right? Here's one. They're both black-skinned. Wow. But outside of like these wild contentions that they're trying to make, it's absurd. It's silly. And people believe in all this stuff. They believe in it. But that sort of moral relativism that runs throughout a large part of the left that suggests that America is historically bad remains bad today. A hallmark of the left throughout the Cold War era was that there was really no difference between the United States and the Soviet Union. In fact, at least the Soviet Union was shooting from some form of equality. The United States was an unequal, terrible society. This is an argument that was made by the left. It is also an argument increasingly made by a sort of horseshoe theory right, which suggests that America is bad today, and it is bad for a wide variety of reasons, but it was historically bad in the past as well. So when Donald Trump says make America great again, there are two reasons that his rhetoric resonates with so many Americans. One is that when Americans hear make America great again, what they believe is that there are Americans' principles that are fundamentally great and that have to do better living up to them and implementing them. What makes America great, for example, is, say, the Constitution of the United States and the ideals. What makes America great are our principles in limited government, private property, free speech, and traditional values. That combination, that still of Anglo-American ideals and applied uniquely in the United States, that what made America great, we need to get back to that. That's what they hear when they hear Make America. The other way of hearing it is that we think of great moments in American history and that we say we want to get great like we were at that moment. Not that America was greater in 1960 when segregation was still on the books in the South, or that America was greater in the 1850s and when slavery was still practiced across half the country, but that we are moments in history, but there are moments in history in which we have lived up to our great ideals, and we should make America great again like that. We should have, for example, a unity of purpose as we did in World War II. We should, for example, have an industrialized economy that is forward thinking and working forward looking the way that we did in, say, the 1950s. There's an idea that we have in our head when we say make America great again, and that's what President Donald Trump is calling upon and appealing to. Well, that's what's so great about the actual words make America great again, is it's such a broad topic that people are able to find their way and fit their way into it. It's like what is that thing that people do? Is it astrology? What's that stuff where people are like, okay, well, it's June 19th right now, and on my what's the thing you guys look at the stars, that weird stuff. Well, and they'll pull out the map, right? On my astrology map here, it says that peace and justice is going to be what my thing's all about today. And on your walk of life, that journey of manifestation, what you're going to see is that you're really going to hone in on today. You're really going to feel something different that you never felt before. It's going to be a big old fart. No, something weird. You know what is it called? There's a word for it. I'm trying to go to the chat. Horoscopes. Thank you, Drag. Thank you. Horoscopes. It's like a horoscope where somebody throws something out there, and because it's so broad that you could find anything to just fit with it. The same thing here. Make America Great Again is so broad that it appeals to everybody because you're going to try to look for something because you love this country to make sure that you fit into that narrative because it's such a great narrative to fit into. So I don't think we need to read more into this, but it's basically just the idea that they keep pointing towards these other countries, that America's so terrible. Oh, look at what America does. But it's one, it's absurd on its face. And second, these other countries are way worse than America, but you're going to crap on America all the time. But yet you're not going to go say any of this or protest in any other country because you know that you can't. It's just hypocrisy. These people are idiots. That's what they are. They're idiots. And I'm not wrong. Not wrong at all. All righty. Let's see what else is breaking here before we end. We've been streaming for an hour at 11, and I'm actually really tired. I did take a nap, and I was being sincere. I woke up 3 minutes before this live, and that's not saying boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. But I just have, for some reason, I have not been sleeping well. There's an article I wanted to get to. Where was it? Oh, it's over here. So let's bring this right over here. Bing. Here we go. All right. Mystery flights. We did talk about this, but there's mystery flights from China to Iran raises questions amid Israeli conflict. Several Boeing 747s have been spotted on radar leaving China for Iran over the last week, according to reports, sparking concerns that the CCP is helping the Middle Eastern nation transport cargo or people out of the country as Israel continues to strike the country's nuclear facilities. Starting on June 14th, Flight Radar 24 shows that at least 5 flights traveled from China to Iran, and the Telegraph reported that the mystery transport planes had flown westward along northern China before crossing into Kazakhstan, south through Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, and then fell off radar as they approached them. They didn't fall off radar; they turned off their radar, is what they did. That's what they did. People, you can actually watch the tracking yourself. By the way, it's out there on the internet, and you just see it, and it just stops. It just stops. Additionally, the report indicated that the flights had a final destination of Luxembourg, but they don't appear to have ever crossed in the European airspace. So that's interesting. So are they bringing them munitions? Here we go. It likes to buy sanctioned oil below market value, and that fuels the Chinese economy and also its military ambitions. And so that's the central relationship. They've been relatively quiet, in fact, extremely quiet. And that the current conflict and coming to Iran's assistance, we also know that a large figure at the port was Chinese solid propellant for missiles that exploded and created a tremendous amount of damage just about a month ago. I think it's unlikely to see Chinese arms shipments under the circumstances to Iran. Interesting. So they're basically saying, I don't think they're sending him munitions, but who really knows? Who knows? Well, I apologize for keeping it short today, folks, but I will be back here tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as always, with our normal programming of the Balt Brad Show. I don't think things are as spicy as they normally are here. And I think that's why, because I think the reason for that is, let me break it down for you. I think the reason is that the White House press briefing is pretty lame. It's pretty boring, huh? It's not as exciting when you had Karine Jean-Pierre just pissing all of us off all the time. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, okay, that's a stupid question. Well, she answered that one. All right, well, the thing goes on. There's like not much lying and stuff taking place. But, well, with that being said, take care of one another, guys. God bless. Thanks for always letting me hang out with you on these evenings for Dark MAGA. And we will be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on all platforms, once again, for the continuation of the Ball. It's Friday. It's tomorrow Friday. Is it Friday? So tomorrow's a loosey-goosey episode. That's cool. So we'll spend more time in the chat. And hopefully there's not a ton of news to cover tomorrow regarding Israel and Iran. Let's hope that, things kind of like mellow out a little bit here. But with that being said, have a good evening, folks. Love you. Take care of yourself. And that's it. I got nothing left to say. Appreciate you guys. Peace.